So, we Stephanie and I were discussing about the fact a little bit about your history, and we found out that you did your PhD on beavers, and
Yes.
so we wanted to know a little bit about that and why you did that, and have you really used it?
Oh, yeah. I would say all education's good. I'm a fan of school, just because it makes you think about the world and it expands your mind. But, I don't want to make this sound bad about beavers, but I did my PhD on beavers because I couldn't get a wolf PhD.
Oh,
I was kind of, this sounds bad too, but obsessed with wolves. But you don't always get everything you want. I'm not trying to quote the Rolling Stones here, but I couldn't get a opportunity with wolves for my PhD. And so you can do one of two things. You can not get a PhD, or you can say, what are other ways I could learn? And that happened to be beavers. And what was good about that is I became intimately familiar with beavers, and I think they are one of the coolest animals I've ever studied because, you know, I have to say, anything you get to know in nature, you will find fascinating. And I'm not saying that to be some kind of, guru about do this, do that. Go out in nature and connecting with a plant or an animal of any kind, even a rock. I've talked to Native Americans that used to say, I used to go out into a meadow when I was a kid and sit with the rock all afternoon. So beavers, I didn't want to do. I did because of an opportunity presented itself. I ended up studying them, and they're about as fascinating a critter as you can find. And what they taught me is never give up. Everyone who's ever studied a beaver is impressed by their perseverance. And that's how I got through my PhD. I don't consider myself that smart, but I got through because I acted like a beaver, which was I just kept at it. And that's what beavers do. You can rip their dam apart and they'll fix it and act like they're not even frustrated. They'll act like it's no trouble. They'll repair it in a night and keep doing it, and they keep going. And they taught me maybe one of the most important lessons of my life, perseverance.
wow.
So yeah, I backed into my beaver PhD.
Hmm. That's great. And the beavers came back are coming back in Yellowstone too, where they came back too.
The interesting thing about beavers and wolves, and this was not planned, the word that we use is serendipity, is they're alike in many ways. They live in family groups. For wolves, they call them packs. For beavers, they call them colonies.
Hmm.
They both have territories. And most animals live on home ranges. Territories are defended against other of your kind. Home ranges overlap, they're not defended as much. And they're both keystone species. That is so key. And what I mean by keystone species is a species that doesn't occur in high numbers of animals, but given the number of animals there are, their impacts are widespread.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is, like I was talking about Yellowstone, Yellowstone is a totally different place with and without wolves, even though there's only roughly 100 wolves in Yellowstone. There's in the summer probably 25,000 elk in Yellowstone,
Oh,
several thousand deer, 4 to 5,000 bison, yet 100 wolves. There's 150 bears in Yellowstone. So not many wolves, yet so much what happens because of them. Beavers, they only live in the waterways, which is a small percentage of the land or the area, I should say. And they make a dam, and the dam creates a pond. The pond creates water for other animals come to. The water table, which is the water that's underground, comes up so other plants can put their roots into it. We talk about sticking their feet into the water below the ground. And so that creates different kinds of vegetation. So it becomes a hot spot for other types of wildlife and plants and insects. So beavers and wolves taught me a ton together because of these commonalities. So it was really lucky
hmm.
that I owe a lot to both species, really.
That's interesting.